So you all know, Rokin is a kind of a Dutch word for smoke. It's named for the district in Amsterdam. So I actually originally learned about vaping in 2002 back in Amsterdam, and I had never seen cannabis vape before, but I saw it there being done with a heat gun and a bong, and I remember I thought it was really cool, and I had always, really found it really interesting. So when I got back into the U.S., I decided to build my own vapor device, and then when I got into creating a company, I had kept the name Rokin, and I decided to call the company Rokin, as that's where I had gained the influence for learning about vaping cannabis.
Yeah, kind of paying a little
the homage to the Dutch market.
The originals.
I was saying today Rokin's primary products are 510 thread batteries and disposable vape devices. We also make packaging, lanyards, stuff like that, but mostly all centered on 510 vape devices, disposables. We do make some dry herb devices, some wax vapor devices, and we manufacture actually for, other than just Rokin, we manufacture for 200 other brands. To give you an example, this is our Thunder Pen. This is one of the most popular products we sell. It's a stick battery, right? Connected right here with a cart. It doesn't come with a cart. You can buy your cart at any local dispensary. So this battery right here is a 400 mAh 510 thread battery. It's got a spring-loaded connection, so you don't have to worry about connectivity issues in the height of the cartridge. So it will work with every cartridge that has a 510 thread connection. The battery is button activated as well as puff activated. So all you have to do is make sure to turn it on. It's 5 clicks to turn it on, 2 clicks to put it into preheat mode, or 3 clicks to change the temperature. It's also got a micro USB-C fast charging. And you see at Rokin, we've moved all of our products over to micro USB-C fast charging. So this way they work with pretty much the same charger that everything works with today. I was gonna say this one is probably the most popular product because we make this for hundreds of other brands as well as Rokin. It's 400 mAh, it's simple to use.
All lithium ion batteries too as well.
Yeah, lithium ion batteries, all warranted for a year. We can make these in a variety of colors. We sell them in a variety of colors already pre-made. I was going to say, that's probably out of all the products Rokin makes, I started as a simple one, but it is the most popular. I was going to say too, I left out, it is also 4 temperature settings as well, or 3 temperature settings, excuse me. Then I want to show you another, probably one of our most popular devices right now is our Pillar 510 thread battery. It's a simple 400 mAh battery. Works great with any 510 thread cartridge, even the really thick ones, since the battery's a little thicker than compared to the Thunder, as you see here. It works really well with the 2 gram and the 3 gram carts as well. This right here, I have it set up on a 0.5 gram cart. Same thing, 5 clicks to turn it on, 2 clicks to operate the preheat mode, and 3 clicks to change the temperature. So in this one's unique though, when you change the temperature, 1, 2, 3, you'll see it counts up. So the temperature, you can see the voltage on the screen is going up by 0.1 increments. So you just simply click on the voltage you want it to stop on. It also has a battery life indicator as well. And all of Rokin batteries actually for a safety feature, so if you have kids at home or something, they shut off after 5 minutes automatically.
Very important.
That saves your battery life, but it also prevents a child from coming over and watching you put it down, you got stoned, and you forgot about it, and your kid wants to mimic what you're doing.
Yeah, we want to obviously consume responsibly.
But this is also micro USB-C charged, and I always say is this one comes in a 25 pack that we sell to stores in a display pack, and it's probably the most popular battery just due to the fact that it's one of the lower cost products we make, but it seems to have all the bells and whistles that most people really need for their vape. So the cool thing with the temperature adjust is this one has 23 temp settings. It allows you to use it with a rosin cart, with a live resin cart, distillate cart, cured resin. So, because every material that you can buy at a dispensary really vapes better at certain temperatures, right? So you want to make sure that you have different voltage settings for the different temperatures. Like if you're using a rosin, maybe you're going to be at like 2.4 volts. Maybe a live resin, you're going to be up at like 2.7. My cured resins and stuff, I like to be a little bit over 3 volts, maybe 3.1. And then, for my distillate, I like it to be a little bit hotter, probably about like 3.4 volts. So this allows me to really accommodate every material that I can buy at the dispensary. And I was also going to say today, a lot of popular things are the hidden vape devices, right? So some people, want to make it look like a nicotine vape, right? So we're going to take the card off here. And we have two different devices like that we have right here, which is our bar and our bar pro. And you see if I put this in a bar, it's going to disappear into there. Most people are going to think that it's a nicotine device. So if you're out and about and, you want to inconspicuously smoke some cannabis, this is a good way of doing it if you're worried that what people might think or let's say you were going to a concert or something and they don't want to allow that in there. This is probably a good way to get it in.
Yeah.
We've got, this one, you've got the micro USB-C charging, 4 temp settings, preheat function. It's also puff activated or button activated. And the reason you have a button activate too is let's say you get a little clog in there. It's good to have a button to fire it up to kind of heat that card up a little bit to kind of loosen that up a little bit. But you see that one right here has no screen. So I want to show you the other one, our upgraded one right here, which is our Bar Pro. And our Bar Pro right here, same type of connection, 510 thread connection here, micro USB-C charging, but it's compared to the bar, it's all digital. So all our controls now are all going to be seen on the screen right here. So you can up your voltage settings here. We got 2 different buttons, one for up, one for down. When we puff it, we've got it button activated or auto draw activated, just like before. Just like you can either puff on it, straight on it, or hit the button. I usually like to prefer a button personally myself because I like a little bit bigger hit and it kind of heats it a little bit faster. You see, you've got it connected to a little lanyard. We didn't have the lanyard here today, but we make a lanyard that it snaps into. So let's say you're at like a concert or something like that. You can wear it around your neck and not worry about once you got stoned and you dropped your vape where the hell it went.
Where it went.
It's also got some other cool functions like your puff counter, right? So let's say you load it with a brand new cart and you're like, I don't know how many hits I get out of these carts. You can, put it on here and count. You start it off at 0 or reset the puff counter by, I believe, holding these 2 buttons in at the same time when the device is turned off. And then I'm gonna make sure that actually is the way to do it. Yep, see that? Reset the puff counter by setting those 2 buttons in at one time. And then you can count how many hits you get from that cart. It also counts how long your hit is. So if you want to know, like, not only how many times do I hit it, but how long is each hit? How long am I drawing on that for? Some people like to make super big hits. So you could count it up and be like, hey, let me see if you can take a 10-second hit on this thing and see how high you get then. Just little fun stuff like that. This is actually one of my favorite devices we make, actually, though, too.
Yeah, it's very popular.
You want to take a look, see what we got there, Tyler?
Another thing to note, too, as well, especially for the concealable, is the design of the airflow passage. So that way...
Forgot about our adjustable airflow.
Yeah. So on this model, there is no adjustable airflow. In concealable devices is which these would be considered or what they're called. Having the adjustable airflow allows a lot more of that personal experience. The difference between a push button and an auto draw functionality, why people would go with a push button or why people would prefer an auto draw. If you got a really good set of lungs and easy puffing on stuff is very easy for you. A lot of the times auto draw is the preferred method. But is if you have just a nice gentle pull or not sitting there trying to suck the chrome off a hitch, the button is a lot better to where the device produces the cloud production for you. And so when you have that adjustable airflow, being able to dial in as, I guess, the bigger cloud production that you want or as little cloud production that you want, the airflow, being able to adjust that definitely helps improve that capability. Some other things too, pride and joy, our bread and butter is our mini tank. This is our mini tank Pro now. We've gone digital.
You want to try a screw cart in there? We can.
Nice thing about this design concept, why it's like this versus, I guess, say to some of these like stick styles, is the cart is actually exposed. So if you drop it, or have any of those kind of issues, you could potentially break your cart. So having this drop in, it's nice because now the cart is pretty much protected from any kind of droppage or anything like that while still being accessible with the mouth tip. Nice feature is too about the Mini Tank Pro, it does have the slide off. So then that way you could still get full access to your cart and stuff, but we also have a slew of colors. If you want to change up colors, we got a lot of people that like to do like a his and hers kind of color swap, make them customizable that kind of way.
And the reason we make like the carts try to be more accessible is, cannabis oils after time tend to be sticky.
Sticky, yeah.
So every device over time tends to get a little sticky.
Yeah, you want to be able to clean your devices.
Yeah, so we make it accessible because, and cleaning the devices with alcohol on a Q-tip is a very important maintenance feature to these batteries. Sometimes the battery won't even work and people will think it's defective, and it's not. It just has a coating of oil on the connection point. Kind of like a car battery. If you take a car battery off and then you put it back on and all of a sudden you don't have a connection and they tell you need to clean your terminals, it's the same thing with a vape battery. You got to make sure to keep it clean. And isopropylene alcohol is the best way to keep that clean.
Having the push button and or auto draw features are definitely nice on a lot of these units. Being able to have both from a consumer aspect, you can choose. You don't have to get the option. So it's really nice having that flexibility.
And correct, having I think also the fact that we use really good high quality batteries with high quality microchips and stuff really makes it an effect of having a bigger hit. Like people always say when they use a Rokin battery that they get a bigger hit and a tastier hit. Now, there's two different reasons. The bigger hit, a lot to do with the microchip and stuff in the battery. But with the cleaner hit and stuff, a lot of it has to do with what we employ in all our batteries that we make is a technology called power wave. We're actually powering the battery in a Sino wave. So the battery is actually starting up at a high voltage. As you're hitting it, the battery is actually declining in the voltage that it's feeding to the heating device in the cartridge. And what that is doing is making sure is that the cart isn't getting continuously hotter and hotter, so you get a burnt taste. So the idea is we get the vapor flowing and we're reducing the temperature a little bit as we're doing, reducing the power to it. So the temperature isn't climbing as fast. And then once we kind of bottom out in the hit, if you're still kind of going far into that hit, we do make the battery come back up. So it climbs back up in voltage again to give you that final big punch in that hit.
Yeah, it just helps really sustain the temp and not increase the temp for burning.
And power wave is something I believe we've been running in our batteries now for about 5 years.
Yeah.
So we learned how to program that in the microchip, and it just gives everybody a much better vaping experience. So people think like a battery is just a battery, and it's like, well, no, not a battery is not just a battery. There's a lot of different components that come to the battery,
And that comes into play more so as well as you start to get down to the bottom of your cart, because all the carts, they have a core on the inside, and then at the top of the cart, it's more oil capacity than it is down at the bottom because you got your core at the bottom. So it gets really thin once you start getting down to the bottom of your cart, and that's where a lot of your burnt flavoring and experiences come from in that aspect. So as you're getting lower, the power wave helps you sustain better flavor throughout the cart.
And really, there's when it comes to the vape devices, essentially, because we make vape devices for lots of other brands, is the way they heat up the materials are all different. So we really have two different factors in the vape devices. You have the resistance of the coil, which we measure in ohms, right? And then we have the power that we're supplying to the heating core or the atomizer, and that's measured in voltage, right? If you took the two of them together, in the formula, you come up with your wattage, right? So in reality, behind the scenes, we have a pretty good idea of what wattage works really well with each device. And you can get to the same wattage from two different points, right? Like sometimes it could be it could heat up really fast and get to that wattage, or we could slowly heat it up to that wattage, because let's say we have an atomizer and we have a really high ohm setting on that, right? But then we might put more voltage into that, so we need to provide more power to get that atomizer to heat up. Versus if that atomizer had a really low ohm setting, then we don't need to provide as much power to get to the same voltage, but we might risk that we, overheat, right? And if we overheat and you get a burnt taste, anybody knows once you get a burnt taste in a cartridge,
it's done.
You can't get that taste out.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because there's a cotton core that's wrapped around that ceramic, right? And once that gets a burnt taste to it, it permeates through that oil. So some people will say hey, at that point, if they can't stand the taste, they're done. I mean, if they're like me and they came from the old days when we smoked resin back in the day, I'll tell you, I can still get through it. But, I don't blame people when they're like, oh, the yuck, that tastes disgusting now.
It's definitely not good in flavor.
And I think, when you're making stuff for different people, that's one of the keys we kind of look into is, we have our preset voltages that we set for all our devices. And this is based on like what our opinion is what we think is the best range of voltages or works for the most variety of materials. But also when we're making them for other people or other brands, we take into consideration what their goal is to do, And then, maybe they're like, hey, we're not even going to sell these ever with a distillate. We're only going to sell these with rosin and live resin. And then we'll say, okay, well, and we're going to make this at a lower voltage for you, right? Because you're not going to need that higher voltage. That's on the other hand, like when you look at like devices like our Mini Tank Pro, our Bar Pro, our Pillar, well, with 23 temp settings, we sell these in smoke shops, dispensaries, so it will work with a variety of all materials. There's pretty much not one material that you can't find a good setting for with any of those 3 devices. And I was about to say, like, Bar Pro is one of my favorites. My personal favorite is the Mini Tank Pro, and it's just because the size of the device is key for me. I can put this in my pocket. I will tell you, I'm just like anybody else when I get stoned. I forget things. So I forget where I put this. I've sat on these before and I've cracked it. I've never once ever broken my mini tanks in a decade. So that's why it's been my favorite. And I think, from the Rokin customer base, mini tank by far, whether it's our original mini tank or a Pro, is by far the most popular selling device that we make.
Yeah, by far. Out of the stick, besides the stick model, the box mod is definitely the mini tank.
Yeah. And I would say too is that like, with the 1-year warranty we don't have that many defective devices that occur, but if something were to happen, we're always here to help. Another thing too, people don't realize is like, your batteries that you're using, right? Well, people say we use a grade A battery, right? Well, most people are very unaware that there's no rating system for our battery. Each factory has their own rating system. An A battery at one factory could be a B at another. It's based on someone's opinion. They pull the battery and they see how long does this thing hold its charge? How many times does it take to get recharged? These are different things. Like on the battery stage, it's like, do they use a little bit of gold still in the battery or not? Like most of our batteries, we're still using a little bit of gold in there. So that helps a lot with the electrode.
Some things, I guess, it kind of direction or topic to talk about would be is why would a brand or a dispensary sit there and care about a battery? A battery's a battery. Why do I really need to put any thought into it more than just me selling a simple stick battery to a customer? And there's a lot to what a battery can actually represent for that dispensary. Then we do a lot of white labeling, and with that white labeling is to consume a cartridge or to consume any kind of concentrate, you need a device. You have to have some sort of battery. You have to have some sort of smoking device, dabbing device. So with that, this now becomes a tool that is used right in hand with the consumption, just like a beer and a glass. But is as if you were able to put your dispensary brand name now on that battery. That's great marketing, and that shows around and creates customer loyalty, creates a lot of swag kind of gift ideas, promo things, souvenirs. Prime example, one of our customers is Planet 13 here in Las Vegas, and they do tons of business with lots of tourists. But tourists come in and they'll grab a t-shirt, they'll grab, smoking accessories and stuff that said Planet 13 on it. Why? Because, well, it's kind of popular now across the nation that is like, hey, I went to Planet 13 and I went into a dispensary, a legal dispensary in Las Vegas, and got cannabis. So having branded accessories, smoking accessories or vaping accessories, it's a great marketing tool for any kind of brand or cannabis dispensary that's looking to figure out ways of how do I expand my footprint and my branding. This is a good way to start, just like a hat is or a t-shirt is. But this is an actual product that these people will use every day while consuming more of the product that they either is your brand or buying from, they're buying brands from your dispensary.
I would say this today is like most people back in the day, they used to, smoke cannabis, right? And today the number one way of consuming cannabis is vaping now. I mean, for obvious different reasons, it's so much more convenient, right? You're pulling something like this out of a package, you're screwing it onto a battery, and then you're hitting it and going, right? And so you don't have to load a bowl or like that. So it's like when you look at the batteries today, to me, it's like this is like your modern day lighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody who comes to a dispensary and buys a cartridge, this don't work without this.
Yeah.
It's impossible. The two have to go together, right? So they're gonna be, if you're running a shop and let's say you were selling cartridges, you got to be selling batteries too, because if you're not, then they're going somewhere else to buy them. They're going to go online or they're going to go to a smoke shop that's going to be selling a battery. And, you know, that sale could have been yours. And I was going to say is, and one of the other things is with the carts today is that, you know, a lot of people who use carts today also concerned about the environment. You know, as far as like our 510 thread batteries, these are reusable. So these are going to last for several years, right? You're not going to just use this battery once and then throw it away. Where on the other hand, what's becoming really popular today are disposable vape devices, right? And we sell those too. We make them for plenty of other brands. We sell them with our rosin in California. But this device is rechargeable, but generally once you're done with what's inside, you're going to throw that away. You know, so is that the best for the environment? No, it really is not. We sell it because, you know, there's demand and people want it. And, you know, they'd buy it from somebody else if we didn't have it. You know, and my preferred way of consuming cannabis is a 510 thread battery. I do like the fact that it is reusable and that I'm just throwing away a cartridge. Like a cartridge today is like, you know, like this cartridge, we got metal, we got ceramic and cotton, basically. So this can all return to the environment. It can all break down and be part, right? Where on the other hand, the battery on the inside here, well, it's not going to break down as quickly. It's going to be around a lot longer in the ground. So that's one of the advantages of using a reusable battery and stuff is that, you know, the environmental concern. You're not buying the battery, you're not buying the same thing. So a cartridge is typically a little bit less expensive than a disposable today. This is more expensive than this piece. That's, you know, kind of one of the factors to conform. We also, I was going to say, is not only using our batteries with stuff in the dispensary, it's, you know, there's also a lot of different hemp products out there today, whether it's Delta 8, HHC, THCA, and those are all intoxicating hemp products that, you know, you can still buy online today, and they work with all our products as well. And, you know, especially if you're in a place like Texas or something where that might be all they're selling in the stores today.
We have our online store.
Yeah, the online store, rokinvapes.com.
You're able to grab any of our...
Or Rokin Vapes /wholesale.
Yeah.
It's another one of our sites that we have.
For our white labeling.
We also have, like, when we white label different products, we have a full design staff that walk you through and get them all done. We also know about compliance in each different state, what's required for as far as the markings and stuff on the vapes. As you see, like right here, where this cartridge right here is from California. It's got the California symbol on there that's required by state law in California.
Yeah, I would say Rokin is your one-stop shop for all your vaping consulting needs. So if you're a cannabis brand looking to create a vape product or a vape brand, not really sure how to go about it, we'll definitely hold your hand and walk you through every step of the process, curate your batteries for you, your hardware, cartridges, vapes, deciding on what volume size. Are we doing 1 grams, 2 grams, half grams, these kind of things, depending on your market. And it's mostly based off of working in those markets and seeing what other competitions are doing it. Is where a lot of our suggestions would come from. It's just because of our experience so far.
I was about to say, we also have great customer support.
Yes.
You know, we're available Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 Pacific Standard Time by phone. So a lot of companies aren't available by phone anymore, but we're still there and we still answer, you know, phone calls. So if you're looking at our website and you're a little confused on something, and you have a question, you know what I mean, we're here to help.
And say if you are a brand that is like, I want to get some white label products. I want to get my brand on some batteries or on some hardware and everything. Like he was saying, we do have an in-house graphics team. Total, no added charge to anything, but we can help design and make your full-on package, all the way even down to the package itself, the boxes, the Mylar bags.
Anything associated with these vapes today, we are manufacturing, you know. Yeah. And of course, people ask us, where do we manufacture? And And we do manufacture overseas in Shenzhen, China. We have a partnership with our factory there that we've worked with for almost a decade now. It's a really good relationship and stuff. We control the quality there. It is licensed. It is a licensed factory by the Chinese government. I don't know if you know, but there's a lot of different regulations that we must meet in China to manufacture. They require us not to have any heavy metals in there, stuff like that. So these things are inspected for any materials that are really considered harmful to you. We're making sure that they're not in the vapes today. That's one big thing. As we wouldn't want you smoking lead,
No.
or anything like that.
Yeah, GMP certifications.
Yep, ISO certifications. So the factories are all very clean. They're done in clean rooms. We're exporting them here to the U.S. and we're bringing them in. Obviously we deal with the tariffs that come through, as everybody's talking about that today. But the vapes are still coming through, and we pay what we have to pay, and sometimes prices change due to these things. As I say, we work with a lot of different top brands in cannabis about making their hardware for them, whether it is the vape cartridge or the battery or the disposable device. So we actually will come down sometimes to their facilities and we'll have a bunch of vapes that we test to see how it works. We're looking for what is the perfect voltage setting, or do we need to change the atomizer to adjust to their voltage, to their oil and stuff.
And we'll even do services of filling equipment. We do work with various filling equipment manufacturers. So
sure, Thompson Duke, ATG, DDS,
yeah,
Vape Jet.
Yeah, if you guys, if there's ever saying, okay, hey, I'm starting up a cannabis vape company. I don't know anything, and I need everything. What do I do? We easily able to connect all the dots for you for the whole process to make it all happen. Figuring out your SOPs for your filling procedures, your capping procedures, storage, all of these kind of things. These are all things that we can definitely help you and guide you along the process the entire way through.
Whether it's your logo on there, you want it nice and shiny gold, you want different colors, you know what I mean, a different Pantone, maybe a pattern or something that is on there. We've actually, made our vapes here, like this vape right here, as you see, it's wrapped with a custom mushroom pattern that we made. And and I'll tell you, a vape like this, we sell it in most states. There are a few states that don't allow us to sell this one in there for the fact that it has mushrooms on there. They think that's a little bit more cartoonish. So we found that out before.
Really, one thing that we can also do is getting down to really low MOQs for individual branding of white label products. So this is, say, for in the stick batteries or stuff like that, we can get down to as low as 500 units. So it really makes it flexible for a brand or a dispensary. Say they're doing something seasonal or doing a promo, special launch of something. You're not having to be totally invested into that, and you can start off small and do smaller MOQs as such as 500 and be able to, I guess, brand a lot more without as much investment up front from a marketing perspective.
I would say another question we always get on the website is, do we do discreet shipping? And yes, our box comes in discreet shipping. It doesn't say Rokin on it. It doesn't say vape on it, but it is going to come inconspicuous so nobody else knows what you are. You do need to be 21 to order the products online. We do have a system on our website that does verify your age to make sure you're at the right age. So that is one thing. Some people have sometimes a hard time getting through that. We're always here to help, or there's a customer support that we do have for our age verification system. No, there are no filters in the device, so it's straight coming out, straight vapor out of the cartridge, straight in your mouth.
Well, there is companies that sell for not so much for vaping, but more for combustion type aspects of smoking. It's like a little filter screen that they'll put in bongs and stuff like that, or in pipes.
We've already taken out, the oil is taken out. Most of the combustibles are already gone. So it's the vapor that you're getting out, compared to if you were smoking a cigarette, the vapor is much cleaner.
Yeah.
As far as I'm gonna say this, between smoking and vaping, vaping, in my opinion, isn't more dangerous than smoking, but everything that you're doing in excessive moderation is not necessarily the best for you. And we would say is that, like, my understanding is that vapor devices have about 10% the mortality rate that cigarette smoking does. So it's healthier than smoking, right? You're getting less material into your lungs. Like, I know as a smoker in the past, when I would get sick, and I used to smoke cannabis very heavily, that I would smoke up, like, I would, cough up some black stuff when I got sick. And, I know since I switched over to vaping, I was smoking a lot, or breathing a lot cleaner. That I wouldn't, when I get sick, I don't smoke, I don't cough up anything black. My desire to vape was based on my desire to consume cannabis in a healthier way. What I always tell people is, they're like, hey, if you want to do the healthiest thing, then, drink water and just, breathe clean air and don't drink or any of that stuff. That's the healthiest thing. But if some of us do need a little bit of a crutch for relaxation. And I would find is that, my favorite thing for cannabis is a good indica late at night, vaping it sitting on my couch. I know when I was smoking, my wife made me smoke in the garage. When I'm vaping, I'm allowed to vape in the house because it doesn't stink up the house. So that's one huge advantage of vape devices, is they do not smell the same. Like, you're smoking cannabis, everybody knows you're smoking cannabis. You smell like it permeates from you, even if you don't realize it. But when you're vaping cannabis, you're really inconspicuous in even the way you smell. No, none of them are water resistant. We have had a bunch of people say they've run them through the washing machine and they still work later. I think the key is, if you have run it through the washing machine or you've dropped it in a pool, is to make sure it's completely dry before you turn it back on. So you probably want to, put it maybe in a cup of rice or stuff like that to make sure it's completely dry. But as long as you don't turn it on wet, you're probably okay.
Yeah, but definitely not waterproof.
We've never seen anyone try to smoke underwater either. There's no scuba bong hits or scuba vapes.
You mentioned cloud production.
Yes.
What's the benefit, or why do people care about it?
The cloud production is like when you went from, like, smoking, like, a lot of people when they smoke, they like that full smoke sensation in their lungs, so their lungs really fill up with that smoke, right? And vapor devices have a variety of productions. So some people want to have ability to turn up that vapor device to kind of get that full smoke sensation in their lungs, the same way they did with, like, say, a cigarette or a bong hit.
Yeah.
And these have adjustable?
Yeah, and that's why that's the main reason of having the adjustable amount of the voltage. Not only as it works with the range of the different materials, but as you're turning up the voltage and providing more power to the atomizer, it's heating up and it's spitting out more vapor than before. So, the difference is like, there are different levels of terpenes and different cannabinoids in there that vaporize at different levels. So sometimes people want to have, typically when you have a less cloud production, a smaller, you might get a tastier cloud. But as you turn it up, it tends to burn a little bit more and gets that bigger, thicker cloud. But some people do like that sensation themselves. So,
how do people know about the proper temperature setting? I mean, you have 23 settings. How do you know?
That's debatable.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's kind of based on discovery or learning from some people that in the device. I mean, there's no definitive one, because even for one material to the next, even if one live resin is not the same as another live resin or a live rosin, they're all different. So it is really today an experiment, kind of figuring out which settings kind of work for you. And then not only that, then there's, like, your own personal preference wrapped in there, right? Like, do you like the tastier cloud, or do you like more of the full smoke sensation? Do you like it when you cough, or do you want to not cough? So, I've run into consumers that have varying tastes and ways they like to do this.
You mentioned different types of cartridges. Can you expand upon that? Like, what's the difference between various cartridges?
We're doing an example here where we have...
Actually, it's probably better for you to ask the question.
Okay. So can you explain to us the difference between, I guess, the two different cartridges that you're holding right there in your hand?
Yeah, so we've got these two different carts right here. Is generally as we have a metal cartridge and a ceramic cartridge. So this metal cartridge right here is got the center pole in the center, which is interacting with the oil, is 316 medical grade stainless steel, right? And so when you heat this, the metal conducts the heat. So it warms up a little bit, which some people can say is an advantage or a disadvantage, depending on whether your belief that it's burning up the terps or not. This is a ceramic cart, right? So the ceramic dissipates the heat a lot more. So this center pole inside here with the heating element is embedded inside a ceramic center post, right? Both cores are very similar in the same as both that their porous ceramic core is surrounded by a cotton wrap, right? But each one is made of a different material. Now, on both of these carts right here, we both have ceramic mouthpieces. And the reason we have a ceramic mouthpiece on each one is so the heat isn't getting conducted up to your mouth where it's touching you. And then those are kind of the two differences in the two different carts there, because you kind of have metal carts or ceramic carts, and then the varying designs of the atomizers.
Well,
they heat it up.
So then what would be the reasoning of choosing ceramic over the metal, the 316 stainless?
Well, the ceramic cart here is a lot of people say it looks prettier.
Okay.
Because it's got a nice white background in here.
So aesthetic-wise.
Aesthetic-wise, and then some people say because it doesn't heat up in the center that it preserves the terpenes more than the metal cart. Now, that's varying opinions, but that's pretty much the consensus of why somebody goes with one or the other. It used to be a few years ago, people were very concerned with heavy metals in carts.
Okay.
And they had lead in carts and stuff. So when lead was an issue in the manufacturing, people went to ceramic because there was no lead in ceramic. But today, as we're making a 316 medical grade stainless steel cart, there's also no lead in the 316 stainless steel either. So
that's the same, the same type of steel or metal that's you have like in your metal screws and metal.
Like a hip replacement or something like that.
Medical devices.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
It's antiseptic or something like that. I remember the exact word for it, but yes.
Why do brands? I guess you can ask them, but why do brands come to you guys to manufacture?
Okay. So why Rokin for considering for manufacturing vape purposes?
Well, I think you come to Rokin because Rokin has, first of all, we have a ton of experience in the industry. We've been in the industry for almost a decade. We've worked with hundreds of different brands and across the United States in different markets. So we've seen it done many different ways. We also have an excellent reputation of making great quality products for really good prices. So we've always provided a really good value to our customer. I would say our customer service is top notch compared to other companies. And one of the things is like that I say is it works really good is that a lot of customers that work with us refer us onto other companies and stuff. So we have never done really a ton of marketing to gain new companies, but we've had to work hard and make sure that we're making the best quality products and let that speak for itself to grow more business for us. So I would say is that, obviously best quality, best customer service, and our knowledge on our products compared to other manufacturers is bar none, in my opinion.
And how would you say price-wise, competition-wise?
Price-wise, we're always probably one of the more competitive brands on the market. We never try to break the bank for what we sell. I think we try to bring our products out where it's a fair value for what we're providing, and we're not cutting corners to get that the fair value. We're making the same quality as the best vape manufacturers in the industry. We're just not asking for the most amount of money on each product. So, and I think that's why a lot of people go with us is they see the value that we really provide.